We are said to be in constant decision-making mode. In a span of 1 minute, adults make decisions more than they breathe. Behavioral scientists also claim that 90 to 95% of our decisions are made subconsciously. But it is not my intention to dig deeper into the scientific details of this decision-making process. Instead, I wish to point out what I consider as the consequences of the choices we made in the past and continue to make every day. And what are those consequences? The results of the collective decisions we made and continue to make are the following: what we have become and the kind of life that we live. The person you are now, whatever you have accomplished, and where you are in the established economic strata are the consequences of all the choices you made in life. Believe me, you and your life are the products of your choices. To explain further, I could cite several studies and mention the contributions made by famous philosophers on the subject. But I decided not to go that route, but instead share what our favorite characters in some movies said about making choices and how they shape us as a person and how they affect the quality of our life. But before we revisit those quotes from movies, allow me to cite what Albert Camus, a philosopher, said about the topic we are exploring. And here is what he said: life is the sum of all our choices. Let me say that once more. Life is the sum of all our choices. I don't believe in the doctrine of predestination upheld by the followers of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. It just doesn't make sense to me why God would give us free will if, after all, He already preordained everything. What I subscribe to, even if I am a Christian, is what the Buddhists and the Hindus believe, that our destiny as humans is determined by our actions, thoughts, and words. We therefore shape our own future through the decisions we make. The quality of our choices, the decisions we make, will establish our value as a person and dictate the kind of life we live. As Dr. Emmett Brown said in the movie Back to the Future, we all have to make decisions that affect the course of our lives. We have to do what we ought to. Subscribing to the doctrine of predestination would make us live passively, waiting how the future that the God we believe designed for us would pan out. Fatalism is fatal. To think that events in your life are fixed in advance and that you are powerless to change them is a death sentence. Tomorrow is yet to happen, and you could control how the events would play out if you choose to. Your life is an empty script. You and you alone hold the pen. It is a travesty if you would allow others to write the story of your life. The next hours or days or weeks or months or years are yet to happen. You can plan ahead. You can control the events of tomorrow, but only if you want. Gandalf of the Lord of the Rings fame comes to mind. He said, all we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. If you are not happy where you are, you might want to consider what Chuck Noland in Castaway told himself. And here it is. I would rather take my chance out there on the ocean than to stay here and die on this shithole island, spending the rest of my life talking to a goddamn volleyball. That exactly was my situation the year before I decided to cross the seas to teach here in South Korea. My version of what Jack Nolan describes as a shithole island was that administrator's office, which was like a lonely, desolate island. To think that I went there after I escaped from another similar place a year prior. I chose not to stay on those places for the simple reason that I did not have peace of mind, where I know I wouldn't grow personally and professionally. So, I did what I had to do. What about you? How long have you been stranded in your own shithole island talking to your Wilson? When do you intend to make a move? My loved ones and friends considered my going to South Korea as a bad move. I had a great career in my country. The pay was not bad. I had other sources of income as well. It was seemingly unwise for them for me to still want to work overseas at that time. But that was for them. For me, I don't take risks, not even calculated ones when it comes to my career. Teaching overseas was part of my career pathing. I knew the path I was taking. I believe in what Santosh Patel said in the movie Life of Pi. And here is what he said. How can he find his own way if he does not learn to choose a path? I chose the path that I felt would bring me closer to the realization of my dreams. I was earning quite satisfactorily as far as my country's standards are concerned at that time, but I was still so far away from my dream of financial independence. Please don't get me wrong. It was not all about money. During those times, I was facing a personal crisis and I felt I had to do something. I had to do one life-altering decision. I was like Jake Sully, the main character in Avatar, saying, "Sometimes your whole life boils down to one insane move." Where I am now is the perfect place for me to tame a Toruk. Not that mythological creature in the movie, but myself. There are times when we have to make difficult decisions. And I could tell you that leaving my family and my comfort zone to face the uncertainties that going to a foreign land brings was one of the hardest choices I had to make. And the hardest choices require the strongest will, says the toughest nemesis of the Avengers. And that's Thanos. Don't be afraid to make hard decisions if you need to. Before I end, please allow me to give one more line from another movie. And here it is. Life is a choice. You can choose to be a victim or anything else you'd like to be. That's from Socrates, not the philosopher, but one of the characters in the movie Peaceful Warrior. It is my sincere hope that when your hair turns gray, you would not repeat the lines delivered by Mike Banning in the movie London Has Fallen, and I quote, "I am made of bourbon and poor choices." Let me now end with an argument presented not by a movie character this time, but by John Paul Sartre, a French philosopher. And here is what he said. Predetermined nature, facticity or essence, do not control who or what we are. Moreover, one is radically free to choose one's destiny, and it is one's moral responsibility to do so.